He could be anyone. The man next door, the friendly face at the grocery store. That's the most unsettling part. Ted Bundy shattered the image of a monster.
He showed us evil can hide in plain sight, masked by charm and normalcy. He preyed on our vulnerabilities, our trust. He turned everyday encounters, a chance meeting, a request for help, into nightmares. His victims, young women who looked eerily similar, vanished without a trace, leaving behind a trail of heartbreak and terror. Their disappearances sparked a nationwide panic. How could someone who looked so ordinary commit such horrific acts? The search for the killer gripped the nation. Little did they know, the man they were looking for was already watching, blending in, enjoying the fear he had sown.
This is the story of Ted Bundy, the all-American nightmare. A man whose handsome looks and disarming charisma concealed a mind consumed by darkness. A monster who lurked beneath the surface of a seemingly ordinary man. His crimes shocked a nation and forever changed the way we view the world around us. Join us as we delve into the chilling truth behind the mask of Ted Bundy. Explore the dark corners of his mind, the horrors he inflicted, and the legacy of fear he left behind. This is a story about the thin veil that separates civilization from chaos. A story that reminds us, monsters don't always lurk in the shadows. Sometimes they hide in plain sight. Theodore Robert Bundy, born in Burlington, Vermont in 1946. His early life was shrouded in a darkness that would foreshadow the horrors to come.
Abandoned by his father, raised by a troubled mother, young Ted grew up in a world shrouded in secrecy and shame. The truth about his parentage was hidden from him, leading to feelings of rejection and a fractured sense of identity. This early trauma, some experts believe, planted the seeds of rage and insecurity that would fester within him. He was described by some as a quiet, even awkward child, a boy who kept to himself, harboring a darkness that no one could have imagined. But beneath the surface, a storm was brewing. A dangerous combination of intelligence and deep-seated psychological turmoil was taking shape.
As a young man, Ted Bundy seemed to defy his troubled beginnings. He was intelligent, charming, and handsome. He enrolled at the University of Washington, excelling in his studies and captivating those around him with his charisma. He volunteered at a suicide hotline, offering a listening ear to those in distress. He even worked on a political campaign, projecting an image of empathy and social conscience. Bundy was a master of disguise, carefully constructing a facade of normalcy that would later make his crimes all the more shocking. He dated, fell in love, and seemed to live the life of an ordinary young man. But behind his captivating smile and seemingly normal exterior, a sinister transformation was taking place.
The monster within was awakening.
Section 3. Beneath the surface. Ted Bundy harbored a dark obsession. Captivated by violent pornography, his mind bred twisted fantasies. This darkness seeped into his reality. His normal life was a lie, a cover for the monster he was becoming. The charming law student was a mask. His dark impulses manifested. The monster was ready to strike.
This is Nikki, and I'll be guiding you through the chilling truths behind Ted Bundy's mask.
Section 1. The First Whisper of Evil.
The year was 1974. The Pacific Northwest, known for its breathtaking beauty, was about to become synonymous with a string of disappearances that would send chills down the spines of a nation. It began subtly, almost imperceptibly, like a whisper of evil in the wind. Young women, college students, their lives brimming with promise, began to vanish without a trace. They were last seen in familiar places, bookstores, coffee shops, their disappearances leaving behind a haunting void. At first, the authorities were baffled. The cases seemed unrelated, scattered across different locations, with no apparent connection. But as the disappearances mounted, a chilling pattern began to emerge.
Section 2. Escalation of terror.
The victims were all young, attractive women, most with long, dark hair. The fear in the region was palpable, a growing sense of dread. The disappearances escalated, the body count rising.
Section 3. A pattern of depravity. As investigators dug deeper into the disappearances, they uncovered a pattern of depravity that shocked even the most seasoned detectives.
The victims weren't just disappearing, they were being subjected to unimaginable horrors. Evidence discovered at remote locations painted a gruesome picture. The killer wasn't just taking lives, he was toying with his victims, his crimes fueled by a perverse need for control and a chilling detachment from human suffering. The Pacific Northwest, once a haven of natural beauty, was now a hunting ground for a monster hiding in plain sight. The authorities were in a race against time, desperate to stop the killer before he claimed his next victim.
Section 1. A Glimmer of Hope. Summer of 1974. Amidst the growing fear, a glimmer of hope emerged.
A young woman fighting for her life would become the key. Her name was Carol Duranch. Bundy, disguised as a police officer, approached her. But Carol's instincts kicked in. She resisted, a desperate fight for survival.
Section 2. Unmasking Evil.
Carol Duranch's courageous escape from Bundy's clutches was a turning point. Her detailed description of her attacker, his appearance, his mannerisms, provided investigators with their first real lead. The composite sketch, circulated widely, sent a ripple of fear through the region. The man in the sketch was no longer a phantom, a figment of nightmares. He had a face, a name whispered with a mix of terror and disgust: Ted Bundy. The illusion of normalcy was beginning to crumble, the mask slipping to reveal the monster beneath. The net was closing in, but Bundy, ever the cunning predator, was already one step ahead, leaving a trail of horror and heartbreak in his wake.
Section 3. A Trail of Horror. As the investigation intensified, so too did Bundy's crimes. Driven by a growing bloodlust and emboldened by his ability to evade capture, he expanded his hunting ground, leaving a trail of victims across state lines. Colorado, Idaho, Utah. Each state became a new hunting ground for the increasingly brazen predator. His methods remained chillingly consistent. His charm and disarming demeanor, a deadly weapon used to disarm and overpower his victims. Despite the mounting evidence, the growing number of victims, Bundy remained elusive. He was a ghost, a phantom, blending into the background, his true nature concealed behind a mask of normalcy that had fooled so many. Section 1. The Mind of a Monster. What drove Ted Bundy to commit such horrific acts? How could someone who appeared so normal harbor such darkness within? These questions have haunted investigators, psychologists, and the public for decades. Experts have offered glimpses into the labyrinthine mind of Ted Bundy, attempting to unravel the tangled web of psychological factors that contributed to his transformation into a ruthless killer.
Some point to his troubled childhood, the abandonment by his father, and the concealed truth about his parentage, as early traumas that left deep emotional scars. Others highlight Bundy's obsession with violent pornography, suggesting that it fueled his fantasies and desensitized him to violence against women. His need for control, his inability to form genuine emotional connections, and his deep-seated insecurities have also been cited as contributing factors.
Section 2. A Twisted Game.
For Ted Bundy, the act of killing wasn't merely about violence, it was about power and control. He meticulously planned his attacks, often targeting young women who resembled his first love, a woman who had rejected him, leaving him feeling inadequate and scorned. Bundy often lured his victims by feigning injury or impersonating authority figures, using his charm and perceived vulnerability to gain their trust. He preyed on their empathy, their willingness to help, turning their kindness into a weapon against them. Once he had his victims under his control, he would often transport them to remote locations, where he could indulge his darkest desires. The more he killed, the more brazen he became, his need for control escalating with each horrific act.
Section 3. Echoes of Violence. Ted Bundy's killing spree left an indelible mark on the American psyche. His crimes were not just shocking for their brutality, but also for the way in which he shattered the stereotype of the monstrous killer. He was handsome, intelligent, and charismatic, a man who could blend seamlessly into any crowd. His ability to appear so normal, so trustworthy, made his crimes all the more terrifying. He exposed the vulnerability that exists within seemingly ordinary encounters, turning everyday places into potential crime scenes. The echoes of Bundy's crimes continue to reverberate today, influencing everything from criminal profiling to our perception of strangers. He forced us to confront the chilling reality that monsters don't always lurk in the shadows. They can hide in plain sight, concealed behind a mask of normalcy. Section 1. Whispers from the Grave. Even after Bundy's execution in 1989, the whispers from his grave continued to send chills down the spines of a nation.
Investigators uncovered disturbing artifacts and hidden clues, offering insight into his dark psyche.
Among the discoveries were chilling audio recordings made during Bundy's time on death row. In these tapes, he confessed to crimes previously unattributed to him, describing his heinous acts in meticulous detail. Section 2. The Enigma Endures. Despite the passage of time, Ted Bundy remains an enigma, a chilling reminder of the darkness beneath normalcy. His case continues to fascinate and horrify, inspiring countless books and documentaries. But some questions may never be answered. How many victims were there truly? What drove him to commit such acts? And how could someone so normal harbor such monstrous desires? The legacy of Ted Bundy extends far beyond his crimes. He forced law enforcement to rethink criminal profiling. He instilled a deep sense of fear and uncertainty in society. Section 1. A Legacy of Fear. The courtroom was silent as the judge delivered the verdict, guilty. Ted Bundy, the charismatic monster, was finally brought to justice. On January 24, 1989, Ted Bundy was executed in Florida's electric chair. His name is forever etched in the annals of true crime,